Hello, hello, hello. This is Adolf Vega from 3D or 2D.com, and this is a Hotel Transylvania 2 review Redux Rerun. So, what does that mean? Basically, it means that I'm re-releasing this podcast because a new entry in the franchise or some other topic is in the news about the sequel or the franchise in general. So, for this case, Hotel Transylvania 3 is scheduled to release on Friday, July 13th, 2018, and so this, is kind of semi-related to that. Now, I'm not going to watch Hotel Transylvania 3, and no one in the staff is going to watch it because we have no interest in it. I feel, for me, Hotel Transylvania 2 was the part of the movie or the franchise where I'm getting off. I actually really enjoyed the first one. I was kind of surprised. I watched it in the theater, in the cheap theater. It was like $1 theater, and they're like, "Oh, sure, I'll watch it." And it's like, "Hey, this actually is a pretty good Adam Sandler animated movie. I like it." And I was like, "All right, I'll watch the second one," and I didn't like it, which I'm not gonna spoil why or how. That's the rest of this review. So, kind of like Shrek 3, I'm done with the franchise. I'm not interested. I'm not going to watch the next one. If I do, it'll be on Netflix. So, this opportunity for this podcast, I decided to go ahead and, while I'm reposting it to re-clean it up a little bit. So, it's going to have audio that, is a little more clean, a little more nice to listen to. New outro music, new intro music, just to try to clean it up a little bit. Obviously, when I recorded this, I had an older review style, which was to include horrible or bad or terrible 3D instead of weak 3D. So, this is a little bit more retro of a review, but I still think it's, I hold my opinion. I haven't changed my opinion on this movie since the years it's come out. So, yeah, that's just a basic new introduction to this podcast. And hope you enjoy the rest of this podcast, Hotel Transylvania 2. All right, now on to the show.
Let's go watch it in 2D. No, let's go watch it in 3D. But if we watch it in 3D, then is it worth the cost?
Hooray! My grandson! The Dracula bloodline carries on!
Are you sure he's a vampire? Look at that hair. He might be a human.
Not gonna happen.
Thanks for taking care of Dennis while we're on vacation. And you remember how to video chat?
Yes, with the phone and the buttons and the agony. Okay, we gotta go teach this kid how to be a monster. Lobby is no room. Sorry, man.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
Frank's gonna show us how he scares people.
Frankenstein! You're awesome! Can we take a picture?
Sure, okay. Little selfie action.
For real.
Hello. This is Adolf Vega from 3D or 2D.com, and today I'm reviewing the new animated movie by Adam Sandler and crew, Hotel Transylvania 2. As always on 3D or 2D.com reviews, I'll talk about the 3D element first. Now, sometimes movies, 3D movies specifically, will not really use the 3D effect very much. It will just be kind of here and there. And Hotel Transylvania 2 is an example of that, where the 3D is a complete afterthought, and it's just pathetic how they used 3D in this movie. The backgrounds only seem slightly more recessed than the foregrounds, and overall the visuals are just very subtle and forgettable. You don't really notice the 3D. It's there, but it's not really important or focused on. There was a time where I actually took off the 3D glasses just to see the difference, and it's not very much at all that I couldn't see because the glasses weren't on me. There was a scene toward the beginning of the movie where you're kind of panning into the castle, and that looked kind of nice in 3D, but the rest of it is just really forgettable. And they actually used the pop-out 3D in one
fashion that's kind of just really gimmicky and corny. There's a breakdance scene with Count Dracula, and his feet will pop out of the screen as he breakdances. This scene's only a few seconds long, and it's just kind of a pain to look at. You're like, really? That's what you can do in 3D? It's so obvious, and just like, whatever. So it really is nothing to really waste your money on. And honestly, just watch this movie in 2D. Final verdict, this is some terrible 3D. So do not watch it in 3D. Don't bother.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
This podcast is brought to you by 3D Wiggle. With 3D Wiggle software, you can impress your family and friends with 3D gifts and videos. To find out more information, please click on the link in the description for 20% off coupon as well. This podcast is also brought to you by Patreon. With Patreon, you can become a patron and get this podcast commercial free and get many more benefits. Please click on the description again to get more information. Now, back to the show.
Now onto the movie itself. The events of Hotel Transylvania 2 take place immediately after the events of the first movie, but watching the predecessor isn't a requirement before watching this movie. The movie begins with the daughter of Dracula getting married to a human. A year after that, they are expecting a child. And not that much time after that, the child becomes 5 years old, and then the most of the movie actually takes place. The movie completely rushes through this. So the marriage, the announcement of the child, and the child being born, and the child becoming a toddler are all within about 15-20 minutes. It just feels super rushed, and you can't really enjoy any of these scenes because it just is in a hurry to get to the next one. There's some cute stuff in here with walking upside down and taking pictures, and the vampires can't be in pictures kind of thing. And, it some of it works, but it's just kind of in such a hurry that you can't really enjoy it. And soon after, the child turns 5, the parents are thinking about moving to California because Hotel Transylvania, where they live, is no longer safe enough for their child. And this plot device, I dramatically and completely disagree with. I can't understand why this is such a big deal. Couldn't there be a cottage that's safer, that's around the corner from the castle that they could live in? Or do they have to live in the castle? It has to be either California or Transylvania. It can't be somewhere in the middle or something there. It just, this core element really bugs me because the entire movie is based on this, and all the adventures that are happening are because of this. And I really don't think this element of would they or would they not move to California is big enough of a story to really justify a full-length movie. The movie knows this, and from time to time, they will have cut away scenes just like Family Guy, where they're like, hey, remember the time you did this? And then it cuts away to that. Remember the time you did that? And it cuts away to this. And they have non-stop visual gags. It's almost every 15 to 20, 30 seconds. It's another gag, and it just gets annoying and tedious. It's like, come on, just focus on the characters and the story you have here. The cast, I actually really like. The cast works really well together, and the voice acting works. They have good chemistry, but it's just completely wasted on this pathetic little plot it has. And one story element I found really jarring, and it just I can't fathom why they really bothered to put this in the movie, is the fact that in this world, within the movie, monsters and humans, they share society, and monsters are a completely accepted part of life. Humans have no fear, no anxiety. Monsters are just different kind of ethnicity in this movie. And I get they're trying to be politically correct, and I'm fine with that. I don't really have a problem with that. but it's just kind of strange because it doesn't really earn this. I think if they wanted to show that certain scenes that connect the dots, because the first movie does kind of lead you to, oh, well, humans, the human that discovered Hotel Transylvania, which becomes the father of the son, he's not too scared of monsters, but there's no direct link with that and the rest of the world. Obviously, he gets married, he invites his parents over to the hotel in Transylvania, but the rest of the world doesn't know about monsters. Why are they completely accepting of the monsters being in their life? I know this is kind of a nitpicky thing, but I just saw it and I was like, wait, why do they know about monsters? Why do they know about monsters? Why are they completely okay with monsters? I'm not trying to say it's okay to be bigotrist or show bigotry toward monsters, but it just seems very out of place that they made a big deal of this, and it just seems very strange, and they don't earn it. You could have that kind of scene if you earned it, and then it feels like there's another movie in between this movie and another movie that showcases when the humans got introduced with the monsters and everything's okay, because I just don't see that connection, and it seems very strange. This is just a massive plot hole that I cannot ignore. I usually don't want to talk about plot holes because it's, very subjective and kind of spoilery, but this aspect of the monsters and humans living in complete harmony, it just seems strange and out of place and never really developed upon. So it's just strange. Like I said before, the main cast of characters works well. Some of the jokes are just really cliche and really predictable and ham-fisted, and it's aiming toward younger children. I understand that it's very very stereotypical, and it's just trite. It's just an average cartoon, which I understand a lot of parents would be like, well, that's okay. The kids will like it, and it's not too bad for me, so whatever. And I just kind of think that cartoons should be better than just brainless entertainment for children. That it could be a legitimate art form where actual great ideas and concepts are executed, and things that can't be done in live action can be done in animated spectrum. So I just kind of disagree with that mentality that it's just a stupid kids movie, cut it some slack. Because it doesn't have to be a bad movie because it's aimed toward kids. And just because it's animated doesn't mean they don't have to have any effort. And this movie has no real effort to really be special or unique. It just kind of throws things together and I'm like, okay, that's good enough. And, some of the plots, it just seems dumb. Like, they really didn't have a full idea for a movie, so they threw this together and it's like, okay, that's good enough. Let's add some quick cuts, scenes, and let's add some gags every few seconds so that way people don't realize how shallow and small this story really is. So, overall, there was parts where I liked it. It does go in a fast pace, so it's entertaining at least. But so much of it, I just rolled my eyes and like, whatever. You're not trying. That's such a basic joke. And this story doesn't make sense. I don't understand why humans and monsters get along so well in this universe. They never explain it. And I just don't understand why there can't be some kind of compromise between moving to California and moving out of Hotel Transylvania. Doesn't she want to be outside of the hotel for once? I mean, she's lived her entire life in the hotel. I mean, I would think she would want to have a family somewhere else. It just doesn't make sense. And I just didn't like it. And, to call it mediocre would be too generous. So it's actually less than mediocre. It's bordering on bad. And I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10. So it's not horrendous. It's not a terrible, terrible movie. It's just completely uninspired, and they're too reliant on gags and cliche humor to really make it a worthwhile adventure. Honestly, if your kids really want to see it, watch the first one. Or just wait until Netflix or Redbox. This is not worth your time in the movie theater. So that's pretty much it for this review. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Plan B, coming through. Hopping on. Hit it. Are you kidding me?
Alright, before this podcast ends, I want to give a thank you to my patrons. Right now, we have one patron, which is David from Spain, and I want to thank you for your financial support to help making this possible. If you want your name to be called out and your location, please become a patron on Patreon. Our link should be in the description, or just look for us, 3D or 2D, on Patreon, and you get plenty of benefits. So again, thank you, David from Spain, and I hope to have many more Patreon patrons with us soon. Thanks again, David. Alright, so that's going to be it for this podcast.
We now have a Patreon, and the link is in the description. Thanks for watching.
And we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, little bit everywhere. Just look for us, 3D or 2D. And of course, review us on iTunes. And if you want to write us a letter, our email address is email3dortwo d@gmail.com. So that's going to be it. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, bye.
Bye, everyone.